Junglies! In this video, I wanted to summarize 10 takeaways that I had from visiting Bansko Nomad Festival. So Bansko is a really cute mountain town in Bulgaria that's now turned into a digital nomad hub, one of the biggest in the world. So it makes you think, how does a nomad hub like that even start? Well, like most things, it started with one legend who just had a bit of a vision and a bit of spark and set off a great chain reaction. And his name is Matthias Zeitler. I had the pleasure to meet him, and here's how Bansko Nomad Hub got started in his words. 8 years ago, this nomad from Germany shows up at Bansko with his online job, finds this cute town with affordable living, and is having a good time working and earning. But the thing is, he needed someone to play board games with. So he rented an office and he literally just posted an ad on digital nomad forums on Facebook saying that he's got a co-working space in Bansko, Bulgaria, and here's what the vibe is like and here's what the rent is like. And it's safe to say that the rest is history, because today 100 plus nomads call Bansko home or call it as one of their multiple bases. So anyway, today I want to share 10 takeaways from Bansko Nomad Hub, and we're going to touch on certain concepts that Matthias has founded, like Bansko Nomad Festival, Co-Living Bansko, and Co-Living Semkovo, right? And these takeaways are about nomadism in general, and then also they come a bit closer to home, takeaways for India. And then finally, the takeaways for Jungli, which is our nomad village here in South India. So let's go ahead and get started. Takeaway number 1, which is on nomadism. Like co-working, we are now witnessing the rise of co-living. I'm not kidding. After the word nomad, I think the word I heard second most at that festival was co-living. Everyone either had a co-living or was looking for co-livings and was excited about co-livings or investing in co-livings. So what exactly is a co-living? Let me explain. When us nomads rock up at a new town and we need to do our work or our creative work, whatever our missions are, we need to take some time, and for me it took about like half a week to a week to actually stitch together our productive, creative, and social needs. For example, I've got to towns and I've had to buy the right little plastic table or chair or Wi-Fi extender because that place isn't really geared for nomads in mind. It's more for holiday makers that are there for a weekend, and I'm kind of the odd one out. So a lot of time goes into this, and therefore co-livings offer like an all-in-one solution to nomads. So here's an example of a co-living that I saw in Bansko called Co-Living Bansko, and it's a building where its residents have their private rooms, of course, co-working spaces, but then also perks like a pool, a sauna, a steam room, communal kitchen, laundry, then also things like a music rehearsal space and even a secret nightclub for exclusive events, which was pretty cool. So how much does a lifestyle like this cost? Well, if you're a solo traveler, it'll cost you 16 euros per day to live in this building and have access to all the facilities. And if you're in a couple, then per person, it'll be 10 euros per day. This, of course, assumes that you're living there for a month, right? And typical to all co-livings, this doesn't include food. Not any of the co-livings that I met kind of include food as part of the package. So you either are expected to cook in the communal kitchen, or you can go out and help yourself to a meal, and the typical meal in Bansko costs about 8 to 10 euros. So I hope this gives you an idea of the co-living concept and one example of a co-living that you could check out on your future travels. But the takeaway is that co-livings are on the rise. Takeaway number 2. Nomads are actively buying bases where there's cheap property and lenient tax, right? So after years of traveling, seasoned nomads, they want a base or two. But nomads don't really look at homes the way others do. They just want a place to call home for about 1 to 2 months in the year and then go off wandering again. But ideally, have that home create a passive income for them by renting it out, right? So this is why concepts like Co-Living Semkovo are taking off. Again, founded by Matthias, the original founder of Bansko Nomad Festival. What he's done is 45 minutes away from Bansko, he's found this beautiful abandoned hotel with pretty much nothing around it and picture perfect scenery. It's the only co-living that I've seen or heard of that kind of reminded me of Dandeli, of Jungli in that sense. But what he's doing is he's spearheading its renovation into a nomad utopia. So the concept is that for 40,000 euros, you can buy a renovated, ready-to-move into apartment at Co-Living Semkovo. And of course, it'll come with the usual perks like a co-working space, a pool, a kitchen, and a lot more, right? But here's the best part. Whenever you're done staying there and you want to go off wandering again, all you got to do is put your personals, your belongings into a storage, and then hang up your key to your house on a certain system, and then Co-Living Semkovo will automatically assign your place to a fellow nomad who's just looking to stay there for a little bit and rent it out from you. Therefore, this system increases how much passive income you'd get with minimal effort and reduces the downtime that you would face. So this concept, combined with the fact that Bulgaria has a 10% flat income tax, means that they've already sold more than 2/3 of their 250 apartments. So takeaway number 2 is that nomads are actively buying bases where there's cheap property and lenient tax. Takeaway number 3, nomad life is so much more than just remote work, right? Digital nomads and creative nomads, those that are on the road today, I really think of us and our community as a modern traveler, worker, and thinker that are questioning all fundamental aspects of society. This includes our relationship with money, with work. I think those are the obvious ones. With home and what home means to us. But we're also questioning our relationships with friendships and even our relationships with relationships. And that's why I was pretty amazed to see, it was proved by the fact that the Ethical Non-Monogamy Conference at Bansko Nomad Festival racked up such a crowd of men and women of all ages and all walks of life. And yeah, I guess it kind of showed me that here I was thinking I was the only one that's kind of navigating tricky relationship conversations while you're out on the road. But it was kind of comforting to know that we're all in this together and kind of starting to think of new models of life, not just to do with remote work, but all aspects of life. So takeaway number 3 is that nomad life is much more than just remote work. Takeaway number 4, could communities become countries? Hear me out. I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I went for a 3-hour hike with a multi-millionaire and we had a fascinating conversation. And one thought that he left me with that's still stuck with me till date is that the combination of online communities, cryptocurrencies, and digital nomadism actually leads to a force that's much greater than the sum of its parts. So he told me that futuristic thinkers like Balaji Srinivasan have proposed that if these parts that I mentioned above are then stamped with diplomatic recognition, they can become network states in a sense. In other words, what if communities could become countries, right? So I'm not kind of trying to share this idea or say that I'm going to make Jungli a country or anything like that. All I'm saying is it's a pretty fascinating way to think and a very futuristic thought. So if you're interested in learning more about this thought process, the best thing to do is just to go to thenetworkstate.com. That's thenetworkstate.com. I'll chuck a link below, and it leads to an ebook that's constantly being updated, which I'm currently reading. So if you'd like to read the book alongside me, go ahead and check it out and let me know that you're reading it. What if communities could become countries? Now, let's move a bit closer to home. Let's move to takeaways for India. So takeaway number 5 is that at this festival of more than 500 nomads, I was only one of 2 Indians. Now, of course, I went to this festival very spontaneously. Just overnight, I planned to go there, and the next day I was there. And the only reason I could do that is because I've been blessed with an Australian passport. If I had an Indian passport, I'd have to apply for visas, I'd have to wait for weeks, and hopefully when it gets approved, I'd get there, and the festival would be done. Due to this lack of spontaneity that Indian passport holders can't enjoy as much as a European or an American passport holder, it doesn't enable nomad life at the level that it does for them, right? However, the data does show us that Indians are still traveling. There's a recent report from Uber that showed that Indians are the most well-traveled nationality after Americans. But if you double-click and look at the stats, it's all those trips that they're talking about are in US, UK, and Canada, and it's all to do around education. So they're not exactly nomad trips. To add to this, there is a nomad culture brewing locally here in India. Well, I know it from running a nomad village and from my travels. But even if you look at the stats, the Facebook group for digital nomads in India has about 1,700 members. There's a very active group with 400 plus members. And then, the group that we run, the Jungli community, which has almost 200 members. So there is a vibe and there is an intent to travel. And it makes you think, if Indians can afford to travel, and if they are traveling, and if there is a nomad culture brewing, then what if a country would open up visa-free travel for Indians and attract, nomadic Indians to their country? Wouldn't that be a big success? Well, in theory, it would. But the problem is that that country would get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of people that would show up, right? And so you could say that, those countries could set up a bit of a screening process and screen applicants based on things like income or intent or all sorts of factors. But then again, the problem comes that they might get overwhelmed by the scale of the applications. So this problem is really a catch-22, and I don't know how to solve it. All I do know is that I would love to see more Indians traveling nomadically and being supported to do that. So if you have any ideas on how governments, whether Indian or foreign ones, could do anything to help this problem of encouraging Indian nomads to travel abroad while still somehow managing the scale, drop your ideas below and I'd love to hear it. Takeaway number 6. India is not on the nomad map. This was a real reality check for me because from my travels, I have met quite a few, nomads over here from all walks of life. So I just kind of assumed that it's on the nomad map. But when I went to Bansko Nomad Fest, which is really the mainstream nomad market in a sense, India was not mentioned almost at all. And the winners of nomad life and the nomad trail really are Europe and Southeast Asia, with also a little shout out to Mexico. And really, Thailand seems to be the world's most agreed upon best destination for digital nomads today. And if you think about it, the reason behind that is because it's tourist friendly. I know that nomads don't really like to consider themselves as the typical tourists, but perks like public transport, relative safety, ATMs that actually work, these things all do help make nomads feel at home as soon as they land up in a place. And then South America and India are mentioned, but they kind of come up as the adventurous options for digital nomads. You see, because there's all these perceptions and sometimes realities around safety, around infrastructure, around maybe even internet and power, and especially safety for female solo travelers, a lot of nomads that are actively working, they think that they might not be able to effectively get their work done from places like India and South America. However, when they do hear that there's a bit of a culture happening over here and that it's possible, and they kind of feel called by the mysterious call that India and South America, it's a unique call that it seems to have that pulls people in, combined with lower prices, then nomads are open to the idea of nomading in India. Which leads me to takeaway number 7. Nomads are open to the idea of nomading in India, even if they've never been before. But all they want from co-livings or communities or nomad villages in India is they want to be guided with their trip planning. They want to be picked up from the airport. They want to be assured safe food. And they want to be assured a legitimate and safe place to stay, ideally with the community. And of course, low prices only helps, right? Coming to female travelers, they love the concept of a solo female traveler WhatsApp group that are or have traveled India already. And I'm really happy to say that in Junglee community, we already have a group like this. So if you're a solo female traveler watching and you're looking to visit India, please just go ahead and follow the link in the description and you can apply to join our community and then join this subgroup. So yeah, the takeaway really is that India has great potential to become a nomad hub, especially with the lower prices that we can offer. But co-livings and nomad villages in India need to look after the end-to-end experience for international travelers and assure things like, picking them up from the airport, etc. Especially if you want to attract the majority of the market. You okay? You tired? No. Nearly done. Thank you. You're doing so well. Takeaway number 8. Now we come closer to home here at Junglee. These are my 3 takeaways for Junglee. Junglee's land, team, and pricing are by far our unfair advantages, right? So the campus of Junglee, our nomad village in South India, it was once a thriving factory which my great-grandfather started in 1955. Now this factory closed down in 2000, but the campus, the bungalows, and the nature that it's left behind makes the perfect oasis for modern nomads today. But still, for 24 years, my family, myself, have sometimes viewed this place and its associated costs as a burden. But after visiting Bansko, I'm convinced that our land and team are by far our unfair advantages. This is because most co-livings around the world are a building with people packed in, and I heard a lot of complaints about being understaffed or not being able to find the right people. But unlike other co-livings, Junglee is truly a nomad village. Due to our abundance in space and the number of independent and shared livings that we're about to launch here in the next 2 years, this place is really much bigger in terms of scale than anything I've ever seen. Plus, we have a team to handle everything from cooking, food to laundry. And yes, of course, the cherry on top is that being situated in a remote village in South India allows us to keep our prices low, much lower than any other co-livings that I've seen abroad. And this is really an advantage because it allows it to be affordable for guests, but also sustainable for us as a business. Therefore, the summary is Junglee's land, team, and pricing are our unfair advantages. Takeaway number 9. From what I've seen, we're the only co-living or nomad village that's solving a nomad's end-to-end needs with food. So it's my personal belief, after years of living in Australia and then in a van, that the cycle of grocery shopping, cooking, and cleaning takes up a lot of time that nomads would rather delegate if they had the option to. So what I did is I asked the Junglee community when I was building our experience here that if they had the option to pay for affordable, nutritious, and delicious home food, how often they would cook, right? And the results are in, and it's pretty clear. 100% of nomads said that they would either mostly or always prefer to be served rather than do the whole end-to-end cooking process themselves. And the main reason is so that they can get time back. So I'm pumped that we've been able to provide high-quality home food here and create a real win-win with the community. If you know of any other co-living or nomad village that's providing food as a part of their end-to-end experience, please do let me know, drop a comment below. I'd love to learn about more. Takeaway number 10. This is really an emotional takeaway that I wasn't expecting at Bansko, but as I shared the story of Junglee, our history and how it's our family's land, it really struck a chord. In a world of VCs, startups, targets, commercialization and funding, our story of being grounded in our roots and really wanting to change our own family's narrative from a defeated legacy to a new beginning was one that really resonated. So I'm pumped to share with you that I'm going to be doing more to weave in the story of our past as us Junglees collectively help write our future. So to summarize, my takeaways are that on nomadism, number 1, co-livings are on the rise. Number 2, nomads are setting up rentable bases. Number 3, the nomadic way of life is way more than just remote work. Number 4, communities could one day become countries. And then on India, number 5, Indians aren't strongly represented in the global nomad community. Number 6, India is not on the mainstream nomad map. Number 7, nomads are still open to the idea of nomading in India. And then on Junglee, number 8, our land, team, and pricing are our unfair advantages. Number 9, Junglee is the only co-living or nomad village I know of that is solving end-to-end nomad needs with food. Number 10, nomads love that Junglee is our family land. So that's that. Whether you're a nomad or someone in the co-living space or someone that's headed here to Junglee, our secret nomad village near Dandeli, I hope you found this video helpful and you can subscribe to our new Junglee YouTube channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. My name is Divi and this is Ganga. Peace.